Shelley, Ben, and Alwanai were gently placed on the ground by the Avari and then helped to their feet by the Kawatha. The statuesque beings, some over 7 feet tall, were in their natural forms and glowed with the colors of their elements: blue for air, green for earth, red for fire, and purple for water. The colors were far beyond anything humans could describe with their limited vocabulary, though.
"Welcome, daughter,"
Sally said, stepping forward and embracing Shelley warmly. She and the few Hello Grove Kawatha who had come with her to the ritual site had chosen to remain human to welcome Alwanai and allay any fears she might experience seeing the other Kawatha in their true forms.
"We are so pleased that you made it here safely. The Aeon fulfilled his duty, Mother.
Shelley said with a bow of her head.
I hope he can hold off the Gantu until Alwanai fulfills her destiny. He will. He has always been the strongest out of the 4 guardians."
Sally turned to Vanatra, who was floating like a hummingbird before her.
"You and your people are welcome here, my friend. Thank you for providing safe passage for Alwanai."
It is also our duty to this world and our people that she is protected until she fulfills her destiny, Shashas,
he said. The other Avari, who were floating all around the Kawatha, bowed their heads as one.
"Thank you, Vanatra."
She smiled as she knelt before Alwanai, and the forest grew very quiet all around them as though listening.
"It is a great honor to have you in our midst, Alwanai,"
she said.
"I can tell by your tranquil heart and mind that you are aware of your true self and purpose."
It amazed Sally that she had come to full awareness on her own and marveled at the wisdom, grace, and power of the goddess. In all the eons Sally had been alive, the goddess and Untuous never failed to surprise her.
"I am,"
the little girl said.
"and I am ready."
Vanatra came to hover at Sally's shoulder.
Your bravery is an inspiration to all of us, Alwanai. Is there anything you need?
Alwanai looked up to her mother.
"The only thing I need now is to prepare for the ritual and have my mother by my side while I do."
Shelley knelt beside her daughter with tears in her eyes.
"I will always be by your side, my love,"
she whispered. Alwanai threw her little arms around her neck.
"So will I. Always."
Sally wiped away a tear. Alwanai was her granddaughter, after all, and she would miss her physical presence as much as her mother.
"We Kawatha who have been in human form since coming to Hallow Grove must now discard our humanity and return to our natural elemental selves,"
she announced as she stood up. She then sighed wistfully.
"Honestly, I will miss being Sally."
The others murmured in agreement. She was incredibly proud of the sacrifice they had made, giving up their beautiful ethereal forms for over 200 years to protect the humans in Hallow Grove and ultimately all humans across the earth. But their reward this day would be worth it.
"Go into the forest and allow the magic and nurturing essence of Shabach to help you transform. And when the Aeon and the rest of our people arrive from the other side, return to the circle. You will know when it is time."
They bowed to the Shashas, then melted away into the ancient forest.
"Alwanai, go with your mother. She will show you what to do."
Alwanai took Shelley's hand and they walked into the trees and disappeared from sight. Sally then turned to the young man beside her.
"Ben, you have been exemplary in your duty to your people and to me, just like your mother. She will be very proud of you."
He bowed low. "I thank you, Shashas. I hope she comes soon with the Aeon and the others." He followed his people into the forest and Sally said to Vanatra,
"We will return soon."
We will wait here with your people and aid those coming through the portal.
he told her.
Hopefully, we will not need to fight.
Sally inclined her head in thanks and then walked into her beloved Shabach. The transformation shouldn't take long, and she prayed that by the time they all returned, that the others would be there, and asked the goddess to preserve their lives and see them safely home. Fortunately, the Bagadons had been reduced in number by a few hundred, thanks to the devastating spell of the Gantu, and the survivors were struggling to recover. But by the time they understood what had happened and were on their feet, the Kawatha were closing in. The wall of magic was drawing nearer, crackling and sizzling and giving off a terrible heat and pushing them up against the roaring river. Whimpering, hissing and growling low in fear and defiance, the surviving Bagadons were forced to retreat and gather in a large group around their leader. The Gantu was angry with himself for not considering that the Kawatha in the town would leave their precious humans and join the fight. And then he understood that they and the Aeon had been very clever. The Great Wars had shown their tactical brilliance time and time again. It was how they defeated him the last time, and it appeared they'd once again gotten the upper hand. But today he was determined not to be defeated, for victory was close at hand. He had been preparing for this confrontation for centuries, and it was time to show his hated enemies what he was truly capable of. With the Aeon out of commission for the moment, he seized the opportunity to turn all his focus inward and began to chant.
Arum es manzanda, Arum es manzanda.
His people's growls of fear turned into yips of excitement. Yet there were more than a few who were fearful and a little unsure of what their leader was doing. These retreated to stand at the back of the group and watch with growing suspicion and apprehension as they felt the ancient, forbidden magic gathering. Since the last Great War, their leader had changed, as though in his exile he'd turned inward and embraced his darker side. And even though the other tribal leaders across Untuis had expressed their concern, they'd done nothing about it. For the Gantu was the oldest among them and therefore the most powerful. Across the river, the Aeon felt the gathering of ancient forces, both of earth and sky, and he too trembled with great foreboding. He understood exactly what the Gantu was preparing to do. And if he succeeded, then everyone and everything unfortunate enough to be in a 100-mile radius would be annihilated. He couldn't understand why the Gantu's hatred was so great that he would do such a heinous thing to his own kind. And it was then that the Aeon understood what real evil was. It took a lot of effort, but he managed to kneel up and watch the tendrils of red and smoky black magic leave the Gantu's body and wrap around the remaining Bagadons, close to 700 by his estimation. They trembled and mewled in terror and pain and tried in vain to back away and free themselves, and the Aeon winced at the awful sound and felt his entire being tremble. It was obvious that the Gantu no longer cared about his subjects, or any living thing for that matter, and the Aeon realized that this malevolence and mindless evil had to die. He also knew what that would mean for him, and he released a great sigh and embraced his fate. Behind the mighty wall of magic, the Kawatha advanced, and they and the humans did their best to ignore the hundreds of burnt Bagadon corpses littering the scorched ground around them and the awful smell of burnt hair and skin. When the barrier reached the tree line, it halted and the Kawatha drew together and watched the Gantu with matching grim expressions. Then they looked at each other and noticed the fear glinting in each other's eyes. But without an ounce of hesitation, an agreement was reached and they bowed to each other. Charlene turned to address the humans.
There is something about to happen that will destroy all of us in Hallow Grove if we do not act now.
Marie's heart clenched painfully in her chest.
What do you mean?
She asked, and squinted to try and see through the glowing wall. The magic made her entire being hum and sweat, and every hair on her body was standing on end. like she was surrounded by a massive electrical charge.
The leader of the Bagadons is called the Gantu, meaning first one in English. And right now he is weaving a terrible spell that will see us all destroyed. This tells us that he doesn't care about the sacredness of life or this world anymore, only about himself and destroying all that is good.
Charlene sighed and ran a hand over her face.
We should have known that he has lost his way and has given himself over to the darkness. But we failed in our vigilance, and now the very earth is on the brink of destruction.
Marie thought Charlene was being a little overdramatic, but then she noticed what was happening to the Bagadons and gasped.
What is he doing to them? The Gantu is stealing their life forces and absorbing them to grow in power, so that he has the strength to release his evil spell upon us. And if we do not take immediate action, within minutes we will all be no more.
The humans all muttered in fear, but they remained steadfast, and Charlene was once again amazed by their bravery. She truly had come to love these mortal beings over the centuries. She looked at one of the elders.
Tom, you must stay behind and protect the humans with our people. If we succeed, then you will go immediately to the ritual site. If we fail, then nothing here will matter. But we can hope that at least Alwanai will succeed before the Gantu reaches her.
Tom gritted his teeth and bowed his head. What his fellow elders were going to do pierced his heart with sorrow, and he had to work hard to keep his human emotions from getting the better of him. Charlene touched her forehead to his in farewell, and when the other two had also said their farewells, they turned and acknowledged their people with both hands over their hearts, and all the Kawatha knelt and released a single note of sorrow that was so poignant that it made the humans weep.
Charlene, please tell us what's happening.
Cynthia said tearfully. She smiled at her old friend.
We must help the Ayan defeat the Gantu. It is the only way. But Ben, he is strong.
Her words caught in her throat, and she almost allowed her regret and sorrow to overwhelm her. But she hardened her resolve by calling up her beloved son's face in her mind's eye and finding courage in his beautiful green eyes, like she'd always done.
He will understand.
Cynthia's heart broke in earnest, and she flung her arms around Charlene.
Is there no other way? No, I'm afraid not.
She gently removed herself from Cynthia's embrace, surprised at how hard it was, and her eyes stung with unshed tears.
Thank you for being my friend. It was an honor knowing you. Thank you for everything you've done for Hello Grove.
Cynthia was weeping in earnest now.
You and your people will live on in our hearts and memories forever. We know, dear one. You have no idea just how present we will actually be. I promise you.
Cynthia frowned in confusion, but Charlene didn't have time to explain.
Please stand back,
She instructed the humans. They dutifully obeyed, then gasped in awe as Charlene and the other two elders began transforming into their true selves. It took great effort and pain to transform this quickly without the aid of Shabach's gentle hand, but soon all their pain would be over. The three towering beings of undulating red and orange fire rose into the air and flew over the barrier. And making sure they didn't touch it, Tom and the humans drew nearer to witness what would happen next. Behind them, the giant Kawatha gathered and prayed to the goddess to give their people and the Ayan courage and strength, and then everyone grew very quiet and watched. The Ayan saw the Kawatha coming towards him and smiled in gratitude. He had been struggling to regenerate by drawing up magic from Untuis and out of Shabach, but it was going too slow and he feared he wouldn't be ready in time to stop the Gantu before he released the spell. They landed in front of him and helped him stand, and he greeted them with a warm smile.
Thank you. I can do with your help.
We did not come to aid you in the way you think, Ayan.
The one who used to be Charlene said in his mind.
I don't understand,
he said with a confused frown. Then his eyes widened in surprise when they surrounded him, and laid their warm hands on his back, head, and chest.
Be at peace, Aeon, and trust us.
I always have, Elder.
Their light suddenly surged and they began glowing brighter, and then understanding came.
No! Wait! You cannot do this. We can stop him by fighting side by side.
Together we shall, Aeon. Now be still and honor our decision.
He was surprised to feel an intense grief flooding his heart, and he almost resisted them. But they were much faster than he ever thought possible, and soon all thought fled. Power like nothing he'd ever experienced since the day of his creation flooded through him, and he let out a scream that shook the ground and the trees because it was simply impossible to keep inside. The life forces of the three elementals fused with his, and with a mighty crack of fire energy that streaked below him, he flew up into the air and his staff burst back into life, sending glowing blue runes scattering around him like a mighty whirlwind. The Aeon, now more elemental god than a simple guardian, gazed down at the Gantu and knew that this day would be like no other that had ever gone before. Behind the magical barrier, Marie gaped in horror at the ugly, towering figure of the Gantu, as tendrils of red and black magic swirled around him and sucked the Bagadons dry until only their crumbling husks remained. And then she saw a red and gold streak fly up into the air across the river, and her heart leapt in recognition.
Jim!
She screamed. Suddenly, a blinding beam of energy left his staff, and Marie and the other humans turned away sharply and covered their eyes.
That's my husband. Oh God, please protect him. I need him back. Our children need him back. Please, please help him.
She prayed, and then the ground beneath her feet exploded.